So, as most of you know, Michael Todd has been wanting to have the match with Ivan Matyashenko for the belt already at the Georgia event. Meanwhile, Ivan is saying he wants more time, potentially until December or maybe even the start of next year because he has some soreness. Robert addresses this as far as the timeline of when we can see Michael Todd versus Matyashenko and what is an expectation of how long someone can hold the belt without competing. Let's take a look.
Todd is pretty upset about the 115 title being held up. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so um, I've been talking to Michael quite a bit about it. I've been talking to Ivan Matashenko about it, and I understand both sides, and I mean, I want to see the match too. I think everybody wants to see the match, but we also want to make sure Ivan is is healthy for it, and it's not, from my understanding, it's not an injury per se, but he's got soreness and stiffness, stiffness in the shoulder, little soreness in the elbow. I think he said that soreness is pretty much gone now.
So not an injury, just soreness and stiffness, but he wants to take more time to prepare because he knows that Michael Todd is going to be a very difficult opponent. That's basically what he was saying in his statement the other day. He wants to have plenty of time to prepare for Michael.
But he just wants to make sure he's 100%. So my stance on this is, I mean, we've wanted to have. I mean, it's always been an unwritten rule with EVW for years that there's 1 year. Like it's like again, it's not formalized, but that's kind of that's kind of been the intention or the perception. But I don't think it should be necessarily 1 year. I think it should be shorter than 1 year in certain cases where there's an opponent that's ready to go, that it's a good match that fans want to see. Um,
And Michael's ready to go already after his match less than 2 weeks ago. He wants it right away to jump back up to heavyweight to face Ivan.
uh, it could be much shorter and probably should be much shorter. If there's not a worthy opponent, um, to challenge, then and EVW is not offering a match because of that, then it can be longer than a year.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, for Levon, for example, there's hard to even find an opponent for, so that's why there's been many periods where he's gone a long time without competing, just because it doesn't even make sense to put an opponent that doesn't make sense at all. But I mean, in this case, obviously, there's the 115 division is completely stacked with people who are ready to try and fight for the title.
We shouldn't strip somebody of the title just because EVW hasn't offered a match, or we don't have a worthy challenger. So I don't think we can have a hard and fast rule. I think that if it's an active category, like the 115 category is, that it should be as fast as we can, and giving enough time for recovery between. It may not be like if we're asking Ivan Matashenko to pull in Batumi, that might be a little too soon. I mean, I can see if he's, but I would think China would be plenty of time. So, those are my thoughts on it. I think
So looks like we won't see Ivan versus Michael Todd at the Georgia event, but seems like Robert wants to put more pressure for it to happen for the China event so that it's not later in the year or early next year until we see Ivan versus Michael Todd. So we'll see if Michael has a different match for the Georgia event. I'm not sure. They're already starting to release matches.
we offer the match, and we're reasonable. But it needs to be based on the activity of that category, I think, mostly. And if we have a match and the fans want to see a match, we don't want to keep them waiting for a year for sure. That's way too long. Now, in the case of super heavyweights, where Levon has been so dominant. And
Yeah, so he's going to mention the Levon situation, but obviously it's different in the 115 division because it's so stacked with people who want a shot at the title. Let's take a look at Kamil's statement here because Camille is looking for a match. He wanted a rematch with Morozov, but we just found out that Morozov actually got injured even after beating Hermes. He got injured somehow, his TFCC or whatever. So Camille is going to want to look for another match.
Patrzę w internety, a tam widzę informację, że Morozow jest uszkodzony. Ręce opadają. Liczyłem na walkę z Morozowem.
He was wanting the match with Morozov.
Uszkodzony.
Hermes is damaged. Morozov and Levon. Devin off season. That's almost everyone in the top 5 basically. Vitaly has a left arm match he mentions as well. So Camille, looks like, yeah, Kurdecha or Svetkov are the only people who make sense. Obviously, Jerry just came back from a serious health complication. Don't think he would want a rematch with Camille. Says there's nobody to fight in the top 5. He doesn't want to freeze completely. He wants a match. Someone outside of the top 5, Alex Kurdecha or Svetkov. He wants to see who's the number 1 in Poland because that's either Kurdecha or Camille. So I think that would be an interesting match. Wow, he says he's getting ready for Levon. Levon is his destination point. Camille said it. I mean, to be fair, he beat Michael Todd in that match where the winner was supposed to have a shot against Levon. Meanwhile, Vitaly's getting the shot. So yeah, let's go through some polls here to end the video. I put up a bunch recently. Who would win, Giannis or Svetan? Giannis is the favorite there. Matt Mask or Petrenko? Petrenko 73%. I think his wrist would be hard for Matt to top roll that hand and wrist of Oleg unless you have like a king's move. It seems like the king's move is the weakness for Oleg, or just like a serious outside style like Devin or Michael Todd, who are the ones who have basically given Petrenko a lot of trouble. But other than that, he just destroys so many people. Smaev versus Engen. Smaev is the heavy favorite. That is just a funny poll there. What do we got here? Vitaly versus Alijan. This is definitely one of the biggest left arm matches in arm wrestling history, no doubt. This is going to be huge. Absolutely huge. I mean, it's the unhookable guy versus the untop rollable guy. We're going to see who wins, hook versus top roll, basically. Vitaly, heavy favorite, almost 70%. Who would win in a super match, Robert Baxter or Engen? Engen is the huge favorite, even though Robert has a much bigger frame and a weight advantage, and he's a legit arm wrestler, no joke. So I think that might be a lot closer than people seem to think. But who would win, Danny Tesh or Brian Shaw? Brian Shaw is the favorite. Couple more polls. This is a match that was announced. Oleg versus Luka Sinadze. This is a title match. Oleg is the favorite. Not surprising. The guy has a mutant forearm. Not surprising. Leonidas or Matt Mask. That was another match that Robert had mentioned in the podcast there, that could be a potential match for Leonidas. Matt Mask is open to taking whatever matches the league gives him pretty much. Last poll here, who would win, Irakli or Bogdan? Irakli, the slight favorite there. He could never get past Todd Hutchings, but Bogdan got past Todd Hutchings, but it's a different style, so that could be an interesting match. Let me know which match you would want to see out of, the possible ones, Kurdecha versus Camille, or any of those ones in the polls there. And hit like and subscribe, guys. More content coming soon. Hopefully they release more matches for this event. I'm curious to see what other matches are going to be announced.